So I am talking on what this community needs to do, or the people need to do, to combat fake news. But it's important for us to ask a question: at what point in time do we say that this is fake news? Because I like to situate it at the society which we operate. And often I tell people, fake news is very dangerous, but we need to interrogate some things. In Nigeria, for instance, how do we balance it? When do we come to say this is fake news? For the government, if a story does not sit well, for government is a fake news. That's the way we operate. But if the story is so fantastic, it served a very good purpose for PR. Yes, fantastic is a good news. It's real news. And we also need to differentiate between what is fake news and what is misinformation. Okay? So, but I am going to look at it briefly, because as a journalist, if something happens, for instance, in let's say in Lokoja, for instance, or let's say something happened in Kaduna, for instance, and you are writing the story, and you reach out to the military authority, and the military authority refuses to talk to you, by journalists. They know it happened, but they have refused to talk to you. And you want to hear from them, to ask them that you heard that 20 persons were killed in Kaduna Zaria Road, but you need to publish that story. He will tell you that he has not gotten enough brief, and he will get back to you. Then you wait. In an hour time, 2 hours time, 3 hours time, you put call across. They will refuse to talk to you. Sometimes the idea is to make sure they frustrate the story. But the truth is, for the fact that you refuse to talk to journalists will not stop him from running that story. You only say you refuse to talk to him. And when you publish the story, they come back to say you have published a fake news. However, some will argue that for the fact that this story did not feature in prominent newspaper, it makes it a fake news. But that's not true. There are so many community reporting that are not featured in national newspapers. But that doesn't make it fake news. And for the fact that everybody is saying it, doesn't make it real. Everybody can say that Liberty is a criminal. It doesn't make me a criminal. And for the fact that few voices are saying it, doesn't make it fake too. So when we have conversation about fake news, we need to understand the dimension at which we operate. So I wouldn't want to talk much of that. I would just want to look at, because I have very few time, what propels fake news. You see, one of the reasons, one of the main things that contributes to fake news is clickbait. Clickbait. People want to drive traffic to the website. They want to make money. You know, commercialization of the news. And that is why you see, because of digital revolution, you see many people have gone to put up their websites. So if you just hear that something happened somewhere, nobody cares to verify, nobody cares to do due diligence. Everybody, I will be the first to break the news. Because the idea is, when I break the news, most people, driving traffic is an issue. Another thing that many people will argue about is the role of the influencers. Those who call themselves influencers. by the time you have 1,500,000 on your as a Twitter follower. I'm sorry, but this is the truth. Government officials engage them to push propaganda. They pay them. Election is coming. They pay them. Even in the main media, mainstream media, as election is coming, when I was working in one of the big newspaper in this country, in Abuja here, I wouldn't mention, politicians will come and pay you as much as 5 million to run a fake story. And they know it's a fake story. Government knows it's a fake story. But they'll do it. So, at the end of the day, we will come and talk, I will pretend as if, let me tell you, a fake story, or a fake news, it's so easy to dictate. If I ask in this hall, how many persons read story before making comments? I probably could just get like 10%. We live in a country where people see headline and they start making comments. You don't even click. So, I appeal that what we need to do is to ensure that before you share anything, make sure it's real. Make sure before you share anything on social media, make sure it is real. And if you're talking, if you find yourself in community, for instance, let me use Abuja for instance. If you find yourself in a community and there's a story, there's a news, there's always a trusted medium of communication. If you live in Abuja, for instance, you should be able to find out that which organization, which media house, which traditional, even if it is in a community, if you go to communities, there are traditional rulers that if this thing didn't come from them, it's not true. There are communities that if you want to pass information, effective communication, if you want to let this community believe this is true, if it didn't come from this traditional ruler, it's not true. So you need to understand the trusted medium of communication and the trusted person there. But let me say that at the community level, the role we need to play is to ensure that we don't share what we are not, what we're not sure that's real. But I will conclude by saying that government has one central role to play. Beyond regulation. You know, one of the reasons that made Nigerians not to believe COVID-19 is because the state failure to effectively communicate COVID-19. So we must invest, and this investment in effective communication cut across government agencies and parastatals. They think that effective communication is a sin. You have come to have a conversation with a spokesperson of a ministry or an agency. You just need to find out the real truth, but he refuses to talk to you. So the state needs to understand that you need to counter fake story with effective communication. You know? So when people have a conversation about the people that were killed in Maiduguri and the government is not coming out with effective communication to explain what has happened, you are giving room for rumors. That's how it works. So, because I have only 10 minutes to talk, fake news is a big issue, and I believe that I always tell people that one of the ways to counter fake news that you need to build, and that's why I'm appealing to them. It's not just enough to have a conversation. You need to set in place an advocacy or campaign that will bring a lot of awareness, that will build citizen capacity to understand and to spot fake news. On that note, I would want to thank everybody who took their time to attend this event, and I will also thank my friends for hosting this event. But let me also report them, because what they did was that I came here like every other person. I didn't know they were planning to ambush me. As soon as they saw me, they said I must come and I must come and have this conversation. But it's not bad, because these are some of the things I like doing. Thank you, and God bless you. What the community needs to do to address fake news, one is that every member or everybody needs to ensure that before you spray anything, before you disseminate, let me use the word, disseminate information, you must ensure that you tried your efforts to verify that what you're sharing or what you're disseminating is nothing but the truth. Okay? And by the time you are not comfortable, you don't trust where the source, the information is coming from, you drop it. And often you don't have to be so much emotional about it, that everybody is saying it. Media is reporting, the social media, everybody is talking about it. I used to tell people that for the fact that everybody is talking about it doesn't make it true, doesn't make it that's true, right? Go extra mile and ensure that it's good. The last one is the civil society and the government. We need to step up the campaign and awareness about fake news. That will also let the citizens understand the danger of fake news, pushing false information, misinformation. In that way, citizens will be very much conscious of the fact that not every information in the public domain is genuine.